Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here for this interview on Shining Mentor Magazine. I'm your host, Melissa Zoske, and today I'm so excited to have this interview with Jennifer Gabiola. She's an incredible, creative individual, and she's helped so many people around the world. She helps introverted leaders and entrepreneurs own their quiet voice and fierce power to build brands that make big impact. And we all want that, right? Through her business, Dawning Soul, she uses her 19 years of branding and design experience to provide heart-centered strategy, exquisite design, and soulful presence and style support to create meaningful brands. I mean, we're trying to put that element back into our world, right? She also offers inspiration through her Dawning Soul Poetic Apparel collection, which I'm excited to talk to her about today, and to help women radiate their true inner beauty and power from their inside out. And you can get more information about her at dawningsoul.com. So let's get to this interview. I'm so excited to talk to her. Hey, Jennifer, thanks so much for being here with us today. We're so excited to have you. And I loved your last article in the magazine. It was so good and so helpful. So thanks so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome, Melissa. I'm really honored to be a part of that issue and to share my story, my voice, and I'm honored for this interview too. Thank you.
Thanks. You know, the article that you had was called How to Stand Out with Your Undeniable Presence as an Introvert. And, you know, it's so funny because just talking to you and getting to know you a little bit better, you don't seem like an introvert to me. You just seem so naturally just outgoing. How does that work?
Yeah, so I only until a few years ago did I really identify myself as an introvert because I assumed that being an introvert meant you're shy or antisocial. I'm not either of those. Yeah. But when a few years ago, the term introvert kept coming into my space, I was like, okay, somehow I got to pay attention to this. And then I looked deeper into it, and being an introvert just means you need regular quiet time, which that is me absolutely. Like I have to have regular quiet time every day, plenty of it for me to feel centered and grounded, and so I can engage with other people during my day. If I am around people all day and I don't do that, I feel so drained.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, that totally resonates, I think, with a lot of people, because when I'm one-on-one with people, I can totally be engaging and talk to them because I totally identify as an introvert as well. And I do need a lot of time by myself to refuel or, I mean, a few days of being around people nonstop and I just want to crawl underneath a rock and, hibernate.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Totally. So that's a misunderstanding, I think, for a lot of people because they think it's just being shy, but I see so many introverts online and in this online world in their business that they seem outgoing and they are, but they really, really aren't the type of people that I would have thought they were, underneath it all. So what is your take on that? Do you just think that people just find ways to cope or?
It's interesting because when I meet a lot of other introverted entrepreneurs, some people are like saying that they have to get over being introverted, and I really have learned that being introvert is a strength because we thrive on deep one-on-one connections, and that's what creates that deep resonance with people. So I find that it's really important for other introverts to own their natural strengths, like leverage what works well for you. Like one-on-one like this is really good for me too. Managing your energy is super important too. So it's just I'm not so much into labels, but when you identify how you're naturally built, then you can leverage your natural strengths and then position yourself in a way to the right people. So you're sustaining your energy and you can serve at your highest level without having to change who you are,
Yeah, that sounds so good because I think people try to put themselves into a box or try to just see everyone else and try to do it their way instead of their own way. And that puts out some kind of a fakeness, inauthentic.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and introverts can feel that. The introverts can feel that
yeah.
sense of inauthenticity or that realness. This is because of that our vibe. We like to cultivate our energy and our vibe so we can really feel people, you know.
I know. And sometimes I think that people like when, even if there's a little quirkiness going on, I know I'm a little quirky. So it's like, I think people really like that when you let that shine through in.
Oh yeah.
It's like, come
Oh
on, you're
yeah.
just being human and real. And, it's fun. It makes it so
Yeah.
much more fun. Being somebody that you're not is no fun. And it's very draining. Oh,
Yeah, you're not relatable when you try to portray an image of perfection. I think sometimes when people think of, oh, I have to create a brand, it's like some separate image you have to keep up with, but it's not. It's a natural extension of who you are. It's just, you're just more visible, but you're sharing from a very deep, heart-centered, real place.
yeah. That makes a lot of sense what you just said. I remember that when I was first building my brand up, I just thought it was something separate, and then it just felt so artificial. But can you go
Yes,
into that a little bit
yes,
more? Like, how would an
yes.
introvert, when they're first building their business, or even after they've been in it for a while and they're just not feeling right, what do you suggest they do? I mean, how do they align to their true
Sure.
self?
Yeah. So I share this with a lot of my students and my clients. It's really important before you create a brand, the outward facing brand to like the public, you really have to be really deeply in tune with yourself and your voice.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is really getting clear on what are your natural strengths as an introvert, which is again that deep, you thrive in one-on-one connections, you thrive in depth. So having that deep quiet time with yourself, to go deep within yourself, is key, because you have to ultimately create that discernment for you in order to trust your instincts as you go out and do social media and create a strategy. I always tell my clients and students, you can't go straight into the strategy without really cultivating the magic. The magic is you. So you really have to trust in your heart and what God, the universe, has for you, and really cultivate that and honor that as sacred. And then that's the magic that you work with to creating the strategy, the social media strategy, your launches, all of that. Because honestly, the techniques can be learned, right?
Yeah. Right,
but
right.
what you're naturally built with, that's only from you. So you have to really cultivate that as something that's very special, needs to be nurtured.
Yeah. So that makes so much sense. So what is it that you find is the most, I have this with my clients all the time, but what is it that you find is one of the most common things keeping people from actually being able to embrace who they really are, step out as that person, and even though they're introverted and they have their things that they need to do to refuel themselves every day, how do you help them get over their fears or the things that are blocking them from stepping up?
Yeah. First of all, because I teach this in my course, my branding course, is that you first have to recognize you have value outside of what you do. Really taking the time to really understanding I have value outside of what I do and what I do with my business. So I encourage them to write down what do you love, what are your attributes that you really appreciate about yourself, and then also what are the things that maybe are challenging to you, but you can reframe it in a way that's positive. Because I really feel like when you can create that safe space within yourself first, then you can cultivate this space for other people. But if you can't even face yourself and acknowledge the value you have outside of what you do, that's going to be really hard. Because I tried it that way, because I used to I used to be a workaholic, and I used to be a perfectionist, and I got sick. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So that sort of proving mentality, I got so sick that I had to just stop. I had to really reevaluate how I was doing things, but that was a hidden blessing, because then that forced me to go in really deep inside myself and ask myself, what do I appreciate about myself? How am I valuable outside of anything that I do? What I do is an extension of me, but that's not, that doesn't take anything away from who I already am. So cultivating that sacred relationship with yourself is first and foremost. And I think that's the missing piece that a lot of people go straight into. I need a website, or I need the outward facing part, the strategy, the social media. But I really feel like you have to cultivate who you are and honor that as sacred.
Yeah. That makes total sense because this world, when you're an entrepreneur and you're working this business, it can be all consuming. And I have a similar background as
Yes.
you in suffering from an autoimmune issue that it was like a big brick to my head to stop. And I had to reset
Yes.
too and start over and try to find a new balance, something that felt good. And you are so spot on. I love that. You're like looking for something that it is just an extension. It's not who we are. So that's great. I love that. It's great advice.
You're welcome, because you're not proving who you are. You're cultivating what God already gave you, and then you're leveraging your natural strengths and taking care of your natural pace and the energy you need to cultivate to have sustainable success. So it's really taking what God gave you, and then like working with those strengths, and then getting to the strategy part.
Okay. So I mean, you don't find people just in fear, not being able to step it up. They're highly sensitive people.
Oh yes.
So what do you do? How do you get in? Like, okay, they've owned it. They're like, I know I'm great. This is what I do. This is who I am. But then they're still finding themselves blocked to moving forward with fear or whatever. Do you have any strategy with that?
Yeah. So there's the typical fears that I've heard, including from myself, is that people are afraid of being visible because they don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be judged. But again, what I learned is that when you can create that safe space with yourself, that you don't reject yourself, that you don't criticize yourself.
Oh yeah.
And then you separate yourself, knowing that when I do put myself out there in a bigger way, my self-worth has nothing to do. That's not in jeopardy. Yeah. I know there's a healthy distance where I know my value. I know my worth. I know that me putting myself out there is really about sharing my value to be of service in whatever capacity I feel called to do. And if people are negative towards me, that's really a reflection of them.
Right.
And then I have that healthy distance to go, okay, you're showing me your wound. Okay, I'm not going to partake in that, but hey, thank you, and I'm going to keep it moving. You know, so I think, again, cultivating that sacred relationship you have with yourself is going to help you reframe the fear of being judged, criticized, and rejected, because everyone has that. But you can't hold on to other people's validation. You have to validate that for yourself.
I know, it's so funny. Even when you think you got past that, a new trigger will happen, and you'll hit extra special attention. Like, they just hurt my feelings, or that trigger. Pay attention to those things, because I always feel like those are the things that'll show you how to work with yourself more.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So,
and to be gentle with yourself, not to attack yourself like, oh, I have this fear again. No, well, it's ongoing. So just be gentle and kind with yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And it gets easier over time, I found. It's something that the more you kind of lift those muscles, it's easier to lift, right? So same with online and doing this work. So, so once they're past that fear, they're getting out there. What I've noticed too is that a lot of people end up getting so wiped out because they are sensitive and they get drained. They do a launch, they're out there working their butt off, and then boom, they're like barely able to even do the program that they created or do that work the next step, or they disappear for a while because they are tired. They're drained. Do you have anything that you could recommend or guide people in how to recoup that energy back quickly after spending it?
Yes, definitely. So what I've learned, because I've done many launches, and I just did my recent launch for my Quiet Voice Speaking About Branding launch. And this time I actually built in self-care as part of my strategy. I built in, I need naps. I need many breaks. I need to get a massage. I need to do a float. Like, I literally scheduled that in instead of what I used to do in the past was like, I'll get all my work done. And whatever I have left over, I'll just give myself a break. Yeah. And that doesn't work. That's not sustainable. So, and I have that same philosophy with my work schedule. I pay attention to when do I normally have my most energy. That's, for me, it's between 10 and 3. So I schedule my client calls, my work, usually between that period. Then I take a break or take a nap or whatever. And if I need to do more work, I'll work maybe a few hours after that. But I definitely have long weekends. I schedule that in. So it's just really important to know that your self-care is not like an afterthought. It's a part of how you can create your self-defined sustainable success.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't think about scheduling that in. That makes so much sense. I do take a lot of breaks for myself, and I meditate and I have my practices, but I didn't think about like actually putting it down into the schedule. That is a great idea.
Yes.
Good thinking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned in your article too that introverts are natural connectors, and that they're so in tune to themselves that they can also be tuning into other people at the same time. So with those connections, how can you make those connections with more ease? A lot of times I'll feel like I reach out to someone, or I see other people reaching out to each other, and it's a little quirky. It feels kind of, people always say, oh, just reach out, network, but as an introvert, it can be exhausting in that way too, because you're messaging people and you're like, so what do you do with that? Being the natural connector.
Yeah. So I think it was Susan Cain, the author of Quiet. I think she said that like when networking, it's really not about like getting as many business cards as you can. It's really about finding kindred spirits.
Yes.
So I agree with that. So to build on her point, I feel that it's not about quantity, like I gotta meet as many people as possible. It's really about creating resonance with the right people. I would rather meet maybe 3 people that we are totally vibing, like you can feel like there's resonance with each other, versus 10 people. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling this person, but on paper I should be. So my advice for other introverts in this case is to really trust your gut, like really cultivate your own discernment, that you can feel if you're really connected to someone in a way that feels effortless. It just feels natural. If it feels forced, or you get a bad feeling about somebody, you should really trust that. You should really trust that. And I've tested it both ways, where I'm like, now I'm more about like feeling the right people and collaborating with people that I really have natural resonance with. But I have also gone against my instincts sometimes, because on paper it's like I should definitely work with this person. It ends up bad,
Not a love match. Not a love connection. Yes, I get it.
You got to trust your instincts, because intuitively you can feel people's energy and vibe, and you can feel if it feels right and natural and easy. Like there should be a effortlessness in the connection.
Yeah. So when you find that love connection and that like, ooh, I really like this person, and you just want to get to know them better. So, do you recommend, I guess, is there a special way that you recommend like supporting each other or balancing each other out? Or is there a way that you like to tell people to, or advise people to connect with each other and then build on that?
Yeah. So what I normally do is, this is an online space, when I follow certain people and I really resonate with their posts, like consistently, like they're consistently like, oh, I love what she's sharing. Yeah. Sometimes I will reach out, or they'll reach out with me, and then we'll chat on Zoom or Skype. And then I don't even go in there thinking like, let's collaborate. I don't assume that. I always want to see, if we can just go deeper in our relationship. Right. And then if there's a natural, like if they share, this is what I'm working on, and then I'll say, oh, I'm working on this. If it feels organic and it feels like a win-win for both of us, then we'll pursue it together. But I never force it like, oh yeah, let's definitely do this. Because again, you have to trust your own discernment. Is this the right fit? Because it takes effort to collaborate with people,
No, it does. And that is one of the things that I love, though, when I see people, is they're collaborating in such an organic way, but they're also structured in it. Because for me, I like that structure. So it's kind of it's a balance. And it's like balancing that out to have somewhat of a structure, but not have it feel like a machine. I was in a group before that it felt so mechanical, and there was not any really deep connection. And over time, I felt, although it was effective, in many ways, I felt like it was draining on my heart and that soul area. I was like, these people aren't even connected. You just feel kind of down, and it can start to get to you. So I ended up getting out of that. But I loved their idea of creating that connection and strategy. but it's a harder, that's why I was asking you about it. It's a little bit harder to actually find that in an organic, loving, nurturing way and still have structure.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
you know?
I can speak to that because my natural way is very structured and organized. I can be very analytical. So for me, when I got let go from my previous career as a design director and then got sick, that really forced me to go, okay, I can't keep controlling everything.
Yeah,
So what I've learned is that I always say to my clients and students, flow first, logic second. So you know you have magic. You have to like cultivate that heart center, like magic that can only come through you, and then organize that flow with structure, because structure then makes it easy. You're creating something that can be scaled, that can be that can flow well. But, so I feel like but the organization is never meant to stifle the flow.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, I like that. That makes sense to me. That's good. So I was reading about, and I've actually looked at a little bit about your apparel, and I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So you're doing this whole other entrepreneurial programs and support for women and just stepping out as an introvert. Then you have this apparel line. How did you come across that, or how did you create that?
Yeah, talk about organic. So in my previous career, like I said, I was a design director. So I went to school for graphic design and marketing. So when I got let go from my job and I got sick, I really was at rock bottom. So I just took some time off, and I got a divine download probably after 2 months saying, put your poetry on clothes. And I was just like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. My ego was like, how are you gonna make money doing that? Right? But my heart was like, yes, because I would write for myself. See, my poetry was very private. It's for me when I'm working through stuff or I feel inspired. I just write for me. But it was very clear, put your poetry on t-shirts specifically. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But I hit rock bottom. So I was like, okay, I have nothing to lose. Yeah. So literally, I was like, again, my background is in design. So I design these shirts. I love style. I love like fashion. So I was like, it was very easy for me to produce. So I started selling at like vending events and boutiques here in Houston. And then I created an Etsy shop. I even got into Houston Fashion Week. And so it's really, so it's interesting because that was the catalyst for me to do what I'm doing now, because all the poetry I would share, my favorite is called I Am. It's really about empowering yourself. Right? And really like owning your power, your beauty from the inside out. And so that's the essence of what I do now, is that because I do still share my t-shirts and apparel with some of my clients, because it's really about like adorning yourself with words that feel resonant with your spirit. I love it. Yeah. Yes. I'm getting goosebumps. But so so it's all somehow tied together. But again, my analytical self was like, this was not sort of some master plan. It wasn't, but it was this organic, like God was said, do this for a few years. And that's how I organically created a community where people were like, ooh, I want to be featured on her blog. I want to like support her because it was so unique, like what I was doing. It wasn't some formula I was following. I was just like, got a divine download from God. So I'm just following it. And people could feel that I'm being authentic,
Yeah. That's awesome. That's kind of how I started the magazine too, because it's aside from my other business, working with energy and helping people with that. And it just came to me to start collaborating in that way, to share other people's work. And it's so much fun. It's something that's like, this doesn't even feel like work. It's just like a great time. So I totally get that. So what are you working on now? What is it that's lighting you up now? I know you just said you just got over a launch, so you're probably taking a break.
Yeah, so I just started my Quiet Voice Big Impact branding course, the launch, and I'm so excited because this is my 4th time running it. It was like my first 15K launch. I'm celebrating that. Yes, awesome. So I'm going to be sharing like behind the scenes and like how that happened. And I just even before that, I did my annual icon retreat, which I think out of everything that I do, Melissa, I think that's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing because it's like a 4-day retreat. People come to Houston and we do the mindset work. We do all the inner work, but the finale is a photo shoot, like an icon. I call it icon photo shoot. And God gave me this acronym. The icon stands for introvert coming out now. So it's really about you stepping forward, step in and really shining like your beauty and your power and in a photo shoot, and then using those photographs for your branding. And so I help with
that.
Yeah, and I do the styling. Yeah, yeah. I combine all my passions of branding, but also the style component, because style has always been a sacred practice for me to tune into myself and then express myself from the inside out. I never know what I love until I really feel it out. Like today, I was like, I'm feeling this red vintage jacket and these earrings. I don't know. I don't even question it logically. I'm just like, I love it. I just feel it.
So this retreat sounds awesome too. So is it something where people bring their own clothes too, and then you just help them put it together, or do you have a bunch of stuff they're waiting?
Oh no, I find these clothes and they can buy them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna have to check that one out. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
and then some people have asked about what they can do now since my launch is over. I do have a visibility masterclass, which is like a self-paced training. And so I can share that with your community too.
Yeah, I'll get those links from you so that we can post them.
Sure.
So can you give us some pages on how can people find out more about you? Is it your website?
Oh, sure. My website is dawningsoul.com, DAWNINGSOUL.com. And so you can just check out all about me there. And I love Instagram, so my handle is Dawning Soul. And then on Facebook, you can also find me at Dawning Soul. And I do have a private Facebook group called Quiet Voice Big Impact Community, where I've cultivated this really safe and loving sacred space to have to support other quiet leaders with their life and their business.
Gosh, I love it. Thank you so much for being on here, you guys. Check her website out and opt in if you have an opt-in there. Probably good so they can learn more through your emails. That'd be great. Thanks so much for being here, though. I really appreciate you being here and being in the magazine and just sharing your light with the world.
Oh, thank you. I'm really honored. I really appreciate this opportunity, Melissa.
Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
Bye.